Is it a top scorer? Or is it a language prodigy? Nah, it's the dedication reaching new heights. Let's look at this prediction video. So let's start with speaking cue cards. That's where, we'll start this prediction video at. So the first one that I would recommend is work on describe a memorable car journey you went on. Now, this has been asked a few times so far. People have had good success with it, so work on this. Some things you're gonna keep in mind about this one is talk about a story here. Okay, because it is a journey after all, right? So you went from point A to point B. So talk about that. Of course, some things that you want to talk about here is like who you went with, when you went, and most importantly, why does it matter? That's the most important bit, right? Because if you're talking about this, if you're talking about this story, it has to mean something to you. What does it mean? Talk about that. Okay, that is essential. Now, let's look at the next cue card. Describe an occasion when you spent time with a teenager. Well, I assume most of you guys are teenagers or like just, like plus 19 or whatever. It's been a while since I've spent any time with teenager. They can be very annoying, but that's just me, whatever. So this is something I have to talk about here. So when you have to talk about being with a teenager, first of all, talk about who they were, why you spent time with them. Also talk about what did you do, right? That's important. Like when you spend time, what did you guys do? Did you go watch a movie? Did you go to a fun amusement park? Or maybe you went out for a hike? I don't know. You tell, it's your story, right? So talk about the story here. Talk about what happened at point A and what led to point B and what was the conclusion on it. And what was the, interesting. And what was the conclusion of it, right? So there you go. That's what you gotta do with this one. And of course, you are talking about teenager, talk about feelings, like what they felt like, what you felt like. I would probably just talk about my frustrations, but I don't know, maybe you like them, so speak about that. And if you haven't spent time with a teenager, think about it, because this cue card just might come there and you need to have an answer ready for this. So work on it. Let's look at the next cue card. Describe a sport that you enjoyed playing when you were young. This one I think I have an answer for, and it will be coming up shortly. So, just a quick heads up on that. But again, work on this one. Again, you're talking about being when you were young. So, like we are looking back at the past. We are looking at a story. We're looking at nostalgia. That's what we are trying to achieve here, right? Because when we look back, when we think about our older days, we think about them with a lot of nostalgia. Either you love them or it could be that you hate them and, you maybe not like it as much. So talk about it. But here we are supposed to talk about, something that you enjoyed doing. So again, it has to be like something that you felt good about, right? Again, talk about your feelings. That's important. It might sound like a therapist, but hey, you know what? Makes a good answer. So talk about your feelings. Talk about how you felt when you played it, why you played it, the good old, the W's, when, where, why, what, who, and even the H, how. So there you go. That's how you actually make a good answer. That's how you make a good story. Always take your examiner from point A to point B to point C. Make it a journey, make it a story. It's easier for them to comprehend and follow you, right? So keep that in mind. Now let's look at the next cue card. Talk about an expensive gift you would like to give to someone. I don't know about you. I don't feel like giving gifts. It's too damn expensive. Everything is. So, but coming back to the cue card, it has to be an expensive gift. It has to be given to someone. And the first thing first, why would you give something expensive to someone? Why? Who are they? Why do they matter? So that's the big question mark. And that is something you need to address in this cue card, right? Why? And of course, talk about the what as well, because that is what we are talking about here, the expensive gift. So I don't know, maybe it's someone that and you want to give them a perfume. I don't know. It could be a Chanel dress. It could be someone you like. It could be maybe your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your mom, your dad, I don't know, whoever really. And there's an expensive gift that you want to give. So, talk about that. Talk about the journey here again. Point A to point B. Always remember that. This is something I keep hitting back on. You got to keep that in mind. Let's go forward. Talk about a time when you received money as a gift from a family member. Now, this is a good one. I'm sure we've all received money from our family members. For me, it was usually grandparents. So if that's the case for you, talk about them. Talk about when you got the money. What did you do with the money? Why did you get the money? That's the big part. They love you. That's why you got the money. But hey, also talk about like when you went there and when did you meet them and why did they give you the money? So there you go. I actually gave you a good answer there. So again, point A to point B, heading back on that, make that a journey for the examiner. Let's move forward. Describe an outdoor activity that you took part in. Actually, for me, I went to Victoria last weekend. So if it were me, if I was you, I would be talking about that. Outdoor activity could be a hike, right? Could be a run. I do running every day, so I could talk about that. Or it could be, maybe you went for a picnic. You went to the lake. Or maybe you went to the ocean and, did scuba diving. I don't know. Or maybe you did bungee jumping from a bridge or something. I don't know, whatever you did. Whatever crazy stuff that you did, talk about it. Talk about why it matters. So that's, the most important part. I'll put it in there as well. There you go. So, that's a cue card that you want to focus on again. Now, let's look at the next cue card. Describe a friend that is important to you. Now, a friend and important. So there you go. It's a easy cue card. Talk about the person, who they are, when you met them, why they are, important to you. That's important. You got to talk about what you like about them. So there's that to talk about. And of course, you can also talk about like what your relationship is like, right? So that is important. Speak about the relationship that you two have, how you met, any common friends that you have, what you plan on doing, things like that. So, there, I kind of like gave you some good tips on your answer. Let's move forward. Describe a noisy place you have been to. Oh God, I'm not a big fan of noisy places. I don't know about you. If you are, describe. Talk about how you felt. That's important. Talk about your feelings, right? Because it kind of like helps give more personal touch to your answer. So that's something you want to talk about. Talk about where the place is. And also, why was it noisy? Was there like some sort of occasion? Was there a big function, event? I don't know. It could be anything. Talk about that. Now, let's move forward. Next cue card. Describe an interesting conversation you had with a stranger. Well, I don't know about you. I can talk to strangers. I don't know. Can you? If you have spoken to a stranger, talk about, like who they were, what you spoke about, where it was, when it was. Make a story out of it. Maybe you were going from, I don't know, India to, say, Malaysia. You were on a flight, and the person sitting next to you, it was a stranger. You didn't know them. And then you started talking about things because you shared, seat next to each other. And that's how the conversation started. So talk about the conversation as well. Like, what did you talk about? An interesting conversation that I had with a stranger was back when I was, I don't know, maybe like 19, 20. And the person that I spoke to, he was actually working offshore. So he was working in oil and gas. And he would live on ships for like 7-8 months straight. He was fascinating that way. So that's one conversation that I remember. I don't know, maybe you have had that conversation with someone. Talk about that. It'll help you out, right? So that's something to kind of keep in mind there. Now, next cue card. Describe a recent development in your city. I'm sure we can all talk about this one. For example, they're building so many malls in India. They might be building new, I don't know, buildings next to like where you live. Or it could be like new roads. So whatever it is, talk about it. Talk about what those renovations are, developments are. Talk about why does it matter. Talk about how does it impact you. Like, what does it do for you? That's something you want to keep in mind, right? And of course, just talk about who is making that happen. So that's kind of like something important there. Now let's go forward. Writing task 2. Now I'm going to give you 5 writing task 2 questions that you want to focus on. Let's start with the first one. It is sometimes said that modern technology brings people more free time. However, some people say that technology is making people even busier. Discuss both views, give your opinion, and give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples. So you got to keep in mind, you have to do 4 things here. First, you have to give both the views, then you have to give your opinion, you also have to give reasons, and you have to include any relevant examples. So when you write this answer, make sure you include those 4 things. If you don't, you're not getting those points that you need. Next thing, 250 words minimum. Anything less than that, you lose points. You lose at least a band if you go like less than 10 words or whatever. So if you're like 240, you lose quite a bit of points. Don't do that. And of course, your answer, lay it out nicely. Let's move forward. Some people think that the internet and communication technology are negative effect on social relationships. Do you agree or disagree? So there's that. Give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples. 3 things to do here. You have to agree or disagree, which means you have to talk about both the aspects of this, right? Of course, you also have to give your reasons and you also have to give examples. So hit those 3 things. And when you're talking about, the pros and cons, always start with what are the advantages? Then talk about what are the disadvantages. And then, do a quick analysis here. Does it make sense to actually do this or does it not? Does the internet and communication tech have negative effect or not? Talk about that, analyze the answer. And once you do the analysis, that's when you can agree or disagree, right? So whatever you want to do, then do that. Just by doing this alone, you lay out your answer nicely. You have your introduction, you have the BP1, BP2 analysis and conclusion. So 5 paragraphs. There you go. That's easy as that. Let's go forward. Full-time university students need to spend most of their time studying. Some people, however, claim that students needed to be involved in other activities as well. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Give your reasons and include any relevant examples. So 1, 2, 3. 3 things you have to do. Again, here, first you have to talk about the pros. Then you have to talk about the cons. And then you have to talk about to what extent do you agree? Is it good? Is it bad? Are you somewhere neutral in between? Where on the scale do you follow? Extremely agreeing or extremely disagreeing? Whatever your stance is, right? So do that. And that's how you want to make this answer. Again, have your introduction, have BP1, then have BP2, and then your conclusion, at least 4 paragraphs, right? That's what you got to do. And make sure you focus on vocab for this. If your vocabulary is repetitive words and you're using same words over and over again, it won't end up well for you. Okay, keep that in mind. Let's go forward. New parents should attend parenting classes to learn how to bring up children well. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Give reasons for your answer. Include any relevant examples. So again, we have 3 things that you have to do. You have to agree or disagree, you have to give reasons, and you have to give examples. So get started. Look at both the, the perspectives. So perspective 1 and perspective 2. Look at what's happening on both sides. Do they need classes? You have a couple of reasons, yes. A couple of reasons they don't. And then do a quick analysis. And then you can say I think they could use some classes, but at the same time, it's okay if they don't. So you can be neutral if you like. Or you could say, I don't know, they really need those classes because people suck at looking after their kids. So agree. Or you could say, no, we are humans and we've been raising kids ever since the beginning of the dawn of evolution. So it's nothing, all that earth shattering that, we have to take classes for. So you can disagree completely if you like. Again, it's all about what you feel. So do that. Okay, let's go forward. Some people think that teachers require training to become good at their profession. Others think a good teacher has all the necessary qualities and does not need any training. Discuss both views and give your opinion. So here you have two sides, right? Do they need training? Do they not? Are they good? Talk about, both the sides. Talk about the advantages, talk about disadvantages, and then do a quick analysis. And once you have done that, see where you stand. What's your opinion, right? That is important. So there you go. And then turn that into your answer. Introduction, BP1, BP2, conclusion. Boom, just like that. I made the answer for you. Hey, what do you know? Let's go forward. So for reading bit, this is the interesting part. I suppose a lot of people are like, needing help with this. Difficulty wise, I would say medium because, it's the last exam for the month. So, do some preparation. I would really focus on multiple choice questions. These are always there. So just, heads down, start working, focus on those. Short answer questions this time around, focus on those as well. Look at information scanning techniques. That's important. Table completion is another thing that I would really focus on. So, this is basically how the information kind of like falls and lays out. So, work on that, see how you can track the information. Number 4 is sentence completion. These ones, you have to look for specific keywords, specific synonyms, antonyms, whatever those might be. Focus on those, okay? Number 5 is matching headings. You need a couple of skills for that. There's a video out on what you need to do for each question type. Go look at the skills needed to hit, 8-band or whatever you want to do. And finally, true, false, not given. This is the good stuff. True, false, not given is my favorite. What you got to do is, first of all, read the question. Once you've read the question, underline any keywords, okay? And once you've done that, start scanning, okay? Then skim as well. And of course, locate your keywords. Now, once you've done this, you need to start reading carefully. Because what you got to do next is you have to compare the question with that of information in the passage, right? And if you don't read carefully, you will never be able to analyze the information clearly. So don't rush through this bit. Read carefully. And once you've done the analysis, you can decide if it's true, false, or not given. There you go. It's easy as that. So that's something I would focus on reading for this bit. And of course, some techniques you want to work on is time management. Manage your time because, I don't know what your technique is. Could be, you do passage 3 first, and then you go to passage 2, and then you go to passage 1, whatever works for you. Or you start with the toughest questions first. So for example, true, false, not given, whatever. Find the passage that you like to do. Or maybe you're just, good old realist and you start with passage 1, then go to passage 2, and then you go to passage 3. No. Whatever works best for you, do that. Okay. Number 2, skimming, scanning, and keyword selection. We just spoke about it. Brush up on these techniques. They are important and they will save your life. Careful reading, that's important as well. This will really, really help you out when you're deciding between matching the headings, true, false, not given, just finding that information where you need to analyze things, right? And finally, marking. Make circles, make pointers, make crosses, underline the words. So use all these different types of techniques to basically make a map of the entire paper so that when you go back to the page, you flip the pages and you look for the information, you can find it easily, location of the things, right? That is something important. And of course, something you want to keep in mind, if you want to be able to understand everything clearly, you need to have a good vocabulary. And on average, we need to know about, I would say, 9,000 words to understand everything clearly. And of course, that's just research saying that's just not me pulling up numbers out of nowhere. It's research. You need to know at least 9,000 numbers to completely understand what's written in a passage. So focus on that. Increase your vocabulary. Read as much as you can. It'll really help you out. There you go. So that's what you got to focus on for this reading exam. So there you go. That's basically the prediction video. I hope you find this useful, and if you have any friends who are struggling with this stuff, share this video with them. They'll find it useful as well. And of course, hey, subscribe. We'll be putting out more information like this. And if you have any questions whatsoever, drop them in the comments. I'm here. I'll help you out. Good luck with your exam. I'll see you in the next video.